Hi, this is Shui with the review of the top 10, my personal top 10 of the top 10, top 11, top 9. I don't know, I kind of didn't really count them properly. Some of them, three or four, could be rounded up into their own little groups to be called as one unit, one entity. So let's start at the bottom. I think the Adidas brand made a huge leap forward as the year came to an end. Harden 7 and AE1s, they are in my top list, but not at the top. Um, the Adidas traction used to be always superior to Nike's or other brands. That's the one thing they've had that ballers, hoopers, users, consumers found always reliable about. But they kind of lost it along the way, and now they regained, or they seem to be moving to regain that throne as the best traction. But of course, these days the Chinese brands are killing it. So Harden 7's the traction is simple but good. AE1's the traction, they have a lot of different contours to make it work. Simple but it works. And they are still pretty sensitive to dust, but not as sensitive as a lot of other major Nike brands out there. Yeah, it's getting there. I can see that they're getting there. They're on the right track. AE1's, I think one of the great thing about this shoe is that this is the first signature shoe of a very amazing rising star, and they've actually did him no disservice by providing an unique design, and also it's really affordable, which I really applaud Adidas for. They provided a new type of density controlled boost, and it feels excellent. It's low to the ground, and it's not as mushy, and it's responsive. It's a good kind of boost, and yet it costs like slightly over around $100 depending on where you purchase them. So it's definitely got some merit there. But unfortunately, one downside, one fatal flaw to this shoe is that it's pretty heavy. It's like one of those classic LeBron heavy, and they have a plate, torsion plate that surrounds the outer parts of the shoe that's close to the outsole, so it does not hinder the cushioning in your foot. But instead of just putting these plates, they've added an additional torsion plate right underneath the foot. So they come all the way to the ball of the forefoot. So they've got a little pinching area there. And why the hell would you do that? So that, to me, that's a freaking deal breaker. Why the hell would you do that? It's like making the perfect ice cream and then pouring hot water on it, or making the perfect I don't know, pizza and then pouring liquid nitrogen on it. That's how stupid it is. But still, regardless of that, this is the step towards the right direction. Harden 7's good, low to the ground, minimal but effective cushioning, and again, the traction is. We've talked about the traction, but the thing is, it's heavy, as heavy, if not heavier, than the AE1. So, the classic LeBron heavy, and they've had this lateral and medial padding, that makes the shoe really, really warm. So for those who want to poop in like blistering sub-zero temperatures, this is great for you. But most of the times, this is gonna be a stinker. The shoe will be filling up with moisture and sweat, and you'll feel the heat inside. So that's a deal breaker for me. That's why they did not go up higher in the rankings. And right on top, I would say Curry 10. I would give it props because judging by the Curry 11s, the Curry 10 was the step in the right direction, and then they took a wrong turn and just dipped their foot into an eternal puddle of the Curry 11s, hard as a freaking rock. So it seems like 11 is more like 9, and a 10 feels closer to the 8, but it's actually an improvement from the 8, and the right way of having the right kind of density for the flow foam. It's very plush. Of course, the outsole of the Curry 10s, the Curry flows is always a problem. Let's have an additional rubber for the abrasive areas, high wear areas. The shoe will never last more than a few weeks or months, depending on how you play. So it's not the most affordable shoe out there, and if you keep doing that, that's a no-no. But still, in terms of the cushioning, the fit, comfort, and everything else, I would say this was the step in the right direction for the Under Armour Curry brand. So after the 11s, it makes me appreciate the 10s even more. A GT Hustle by Nike, it's actually ranking pretty high. Initially, I was deeply unimpressed. I'm not impressed by your performance, but But if you just look at the shoe on itself without looking at it as the continuation of the GT Run series, which they try to name it GT Run 2, but they changed the Run to Hustle, but it became GT Hustle 2. But you've never used Hustle before, just call it GT Hustle 1. But anyway, this shoe is nothing like the GT Runs, but it implements the Zoom Strobel properly. It feels as good as the KD14s, except the traction is not as good as the KD14s. It's not too bad, but those are round little pods. That's not exactly great traction, and it's not exactly the most dust-proof kind of traction. So yeah, they've experimented, but not in the right direction. The Zoom Strobel and the midsole is very soft and forgiving. It's like the KD14 with a better insole and a better midsole. Overall, the shoe is very soft and comfortable, and it's plush. But at the same time, you might feel like it's lacking a bit of a lockdown if you want some stiffness and support. But overall, it is nice. It is soft. It is Zoom Strobel the way it should be utilized. But the price point, I mean, if you compare the shoes like the KDs in the past, like KD14, they did not cost over or close to $200. So I don't know why or how they imagined that this will actually work. So that's JTL for you. Right above, I would say LeBron 21s and LeBron 20. I would say, yeah, pick your poison. The 21s are great, except they're pretty thick, and you don't really feel like this is Zoom Air. You feel like this is good, dense, soft plush foam midsole material with some Zoom hidden in the middle. Also, the traction of both 21s and 20s, they're not exactly dust resistant. When you go to somewhat dusty or not really properly capped courts, you feel that this is not giving the grip that it should provide. So that's where I'm a little disappointed in it, especially considering that this is supposed to be the ultimate LeBrons. The differences, the little problems I had, the 21s, they're heavier than the 20s, and the materials, depending on the materials, the weighs it's like a Russian roulette. And yeah, there are some pinching sensations here and there, especially on the last two lace loops. It's like metallic, not just on the outside, but on the inside. So the studs really dig into your skin a little bit. So you have to make some adjustments there. The lockdown is definitely better than 20. The 20s has a bit of a heel slip issue. But yeah, also the insoles are definitely superior in the 21s. But just because you give me a better insole than the previous model, I can't just say you did a wonderful job of making an upgrade to the shoe. The heel containment is a little bit better. If you like heel containment and stability, you could also look to the next model that I rate slightly higher than the LeBron 20s and 21s, the Next Gen and the Next Gen Amped. The Next Gen, it has a little bit of a stability on the heel. Some people might feel that it's hindering the full Zoom heel compression. So if you have a problem with that, you can go for the Next Gen Amp model, which has that plastic part removed, so it feels like the 20 heels. So you have the best of both worlds in terms of choice. The Next Gen forefoot Zoom, I feel like the Zoom Turbo, which is right underneath the Strobel board, feels a lot more like Zoom Air that's unlocked and working underneath your foot, like the Zoom Turbo and the Kyrie's on the forefoot. That's kind of what it feels like. In contrast to the LeBron 21s and 20s, I feel like the foam is working, but the Zoom is somewhere in the middle. So for the LeBron 20, personally, in my experience, I've punctured one side, but I felt like there was just a little bit of a difference. So even without the Zoom, it was not entirely not providing. It was entirely, how should I say? Even with the Zoom, its existence was not very, very prominent. Even after they're gone, I just missed it by a little bit. So a bit of a bounciness, but you don't feel that full Zoom experience. So the Next Gen Zoom setting, I think it's better on the forefoot. The Next Gen, of course, the problem is that, yeah, what is the traction again? They're very similar. I mean, it's different kind of pattern, but they're kind of like the LeBron 20 and 21s. They're great on clean courts, but they are not exactly, super duper heavy duty dust proof. They are somewhat not dust resistant. But The upper and the overall fit of the next gen, I think it's better than the LeBron 2021s. It wraps around you better and it hugs your foot better. At least that's the feeling I had. But the problem is, of course, the 20 is a lot more breathable than the next gen or the 21. Now, on top of the list for my 2023 ranking, this is going to be a shocker, but I would say Adidas Trae Young 3 is my personal favorite because the whatever weird new eco-friendly recycled material they use for the midsole is really good. It feels like it should be Adidas's go-to foam material from here on. It's very, and also you can see this exaggerated padding all around, but at the same time, it's not as heavy as the other Adidas models. It's actually closer to lightweight because I suppose the density of the midsole, or rather, the midsole is lighter than it looks. It's more fluffy, and there are no crazy, stupid plates right underneath your foot or anything like that, so you can actually feel the midsole working. And it's such a wide base, so it's very stable. And the outsole traction, it's amazing. It's super dust proof. It bites everywhere, anywhere. And padding all around is really good. There's a good heel lockdown, no heel slippage. The only problem I have with this shoe is that the lace loop, of course, is much better than the previous Trae Young models. It has more lace loops, but you actually need to poke a few more holes to get that firm lockdown that you actually would prefer, because around the toe area, it's kind of, depending on the shape of your foot, you might feel like it's not a good one-to-one fit. So that's one problem I have. I wish Trae Young's would just have a normal lace loop that goes all the way down. But other than that, I thought this was perfection.